Hey Epic Games, my name is Patrick Panella, and this is the game I'd like to submit for an Epic Mega Grant. So first I'm going to start off by showing you some of the single player experience, just to kind of show you everything. And then I'll show you a little bit of how it does have some multiplayer support already kind of built in. One second. I just want to adjust my volume. Okay. So the game's working title is Adventure Looter. As you can see, um, it's a low poly action adventure hack and slash type game. It's not really a hack and slash game, I wouldn't call it that necessarily, but it takes some of the looting from a hack and slash. I do have the support for the multiplayer built in here in the menu. You can start a server. You can create, uh, you know, a certain amount of players here. You can pick LAN or internet. You can find a game if you're on, Steam and you're connected through a different one. Um, and options aren't really built in yet, but let's go ahead and host a game. We'll say name. Doesn't really matter. Okay. And so, just as a warning, a lot of the assets that I have in here are placeholders. I did download the characters from the marketplace that were on uh, special. You guys had on there for free, and I really wanted to test with those. So I also have a lot of other little assets that I've found that were free. Pretty much everything that I've got here has been free, except for a few things that I made, which really were free as well, I should say. But but yeah, a lot of what you're seeing is free assets. I haven't spent any money on any assets yet, and I plan on doing that later on if I need to invest in an artist to create new assets for me. Um, I myself do model, but I don't want to have to model all this stuff. I'm usually a programmer, and so that's what I've been doing. This is my role in this has been programming most of this. I have one other person who's been working on this project with me, a little bit. His he's done a little bit of environment work for me, and I'll show you that later. Um, but other than that, everything else has just been me, and and putting together everything you see here is mostly just been me. Excuse me. So what you're seeing here is the basic um, being able to open loot boxes, treasure chests, crates, anything like that. And they do have the highlighting effect. I think what I'm going to be doing later is I'm going to be increasing that to be more like an actual effect that covers the whole object. But everything is kind of in a working state, as it is with development. But basically, the objective of the game right now is, or I mean, sorry, the objective of my goal, my project goal is to get this to a state where I can produce a demo um, to show everyone and let them play it and test it. And the demo would consist of basically you start the game, you're in town, you have an objective, or you go talk to an NPC, you grab an objective. The objective tells you to go to a dungeon in an open world zone, and that zone has inside that zone there are dungeons that are kind of spread around, but it tells you to go to a specific one, and you go talk to an obelisk, or you possibly just stream in the dungeon. We're trying to decide on how we want to do that, but you go into the dungeon, you clear it, then you come back and you return to town and you sell loot or whatever it is, and then the demo's over. What would make this different from any normal game like WoW or Diablo or anything like that is, first of all, it's from a different perspective than Diablo, and the system of it is going to be more like we're trying to make the playstyle more like Dark Souls, but not strictly following every guideline that Dark Souls lays out. So it's kind of like a um, it's kind of like a big clash and a mix between these different these different games. But the art style is strictly I'm trying to follow Astroneer's art style, low poly, uh, fun aesthetics, and really interesting, colorful layout and art style. Um, so basically, what we have so far, what I've got so far is multiplayer chat system, um, multiplayer support for putting on items and gear, and an inventory system. I've got two abilities so far that are potion and dash, the dash ability, which allows you to dash forward and it's on a cooldown. Of course, it uses your mana, and the potion has a 30-second cooldown. It would provide you with a specific amount of health, and it does, but I was at full health. And I also leveraged some of the user interface kit for this from the marketplace. And as you can see, some of the stuff might look familiar, but really I've changed it so much that you might not recognize any of it. And the other thing that I've utilized for this is my actual marketplace asset, the top-down loot RPG, RPG loot. Sorry, top-down RPG loot. That has been changed drastically, though, from what it is on the marketplace to fit this game, because uh, it it doesn't have all of the necessities that you would need for putting on gear and all that stuff. So I had to pretty much kind of improvise and make it almost change the system entirely to work with some putting on gear and all that. I mean, the system worked, but it didn't accommodate some of the things that I wanted to do, like skeletal meshes. So I had to actually implement the ability to change skeletal meshes, use skeletal meshes as objects instead of static meshes, and so those are things that I've changed. um, just as a just as a precautionary, I'm going to put on my stat FPS, and just so you can see that we're running at 120 FPS. And later I'm going to go into a dungeon just to show you that there's a lot of stuff going on, and I think I can still hold 120 FPS. At least I did on the built game. So these items that I get, you can pick them up, you can put them in your inventory. Potions really don't do much right now, and we're gonna be creating a system of crafting where you don't craft gear, you craft consumables that you can use to improve your chances through the dungeon. When you go in, you can have potions that might buff you, potions that might let you do more damage in specific situations, maybe potions that give you a short, maybe potions that actually provide you with a boost to your health potion, or a cooldown, different things. But what's going to happen is our ability bar here is going to have like 4 main ability slots that you can use for anything you want. You can use potions or you can use abilities. And the abilities are going to be kind of far and few between because they're going to be based on your weapon. You get a weapon. Let's see, I have a weapon here, I think. So you get a weapon, and if you get a high enough weapon, it's going to have slots on the actual weapon that you can take and insert into a crafting type interface that allows you to socket abilities into these items. And the weapons are going to be the only ones that you can do that with. So you're going to be able to get like 1 or 2 sockets. So that could be like, those are basically your abilities. If you want to have 2 abilities that you want to use on your bar, you stick those in there, and it provides you with 2 abilities that are extra on top of the primary attack, which is basically just swinging this thing and using it as a melee weapon. And you can also possibly get abilities that, or like socketed abilities that provide you with elemental damage on your weapons instead of just a regular physical damage of any kind. And that's another thing I've been looking into possibly doing as a separate thing aside from the 2 sockets. You might be able to actually do that as a tertiary. It's almost like a tertiary socket, but it wouldn't show up in the same location. It would be more like an alteration to the weapon um, other than what the sockets are. So let's see. I do have leveling already implemented. I have have, so let's see, I have, well, I'm not going to put this on because I don't think it has an actual static mesh right now, but I can put the gauntlets on, and I can put, this is actually, so yeah, those have more power, so let's just keep those, and fortified relic, and this mace doesn't actually have any static mesh, so we're not going to use that, and we're just going to go over here, we'll go fight a baddie. And just for fun, these baddies are kind of boring and mostly not really super awesome. And this is really early development stage here for the baddie guys. I haven't done much work on them. I've just kind of got them set up from using the user interface kit that was downloaded. I've modified it a little bit just to work a little good for what I'm using it for. And then later on, I'm going to be actually putting a lot of effort into making the combat system really nice. So that kind of shows off everything here. There are gems and things that we're going to be doing a crafting system. They're not really done yet. I haven't set up gems 100%. So I'm level, what, 1.5. So there's no more guys in this area. Or no, there's one more, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to go to the next area so I can kind of show you what I've really been using as the demo area. So let's go to the desert. So this is the desert, and this is going to be the first open world zone that you'll get to go to from town, and this will be like the demo first zone. And once the game is officially released, it might not be the first zone, but for our demo, this is where you start. You get to pick up this sword, and you can actually go inside of the dungeon that the first dungeon that we have, and you can actually fight guys in here. And you want to use your health potions to keep yourself alive, grab items, and the interactable treasure chests are always going to have the outline, so you don't have to worry about not knowing whether you can interact with it. Let's put on this chest item. Nice. It's got 2 power, 3 stamina, and armor, so it's a decent one. The helmet and the mace has 2 damage and 3 power, so let's switch that because I like more power. And I like the mace. It looks nice. This is another item that I have, but it doesn't sit perfectly. I need to mess with the static mesh to adjust its positioning when it's on the character. So we got these. Again, all of this is free assets that I've downloaded, and except for the dungeon walls. The dungeon walls were done by the environment artist that I have. He did all of the structure, and so let's go continue through, and let's fight this guy. And again, if we had an ability, we'd be able to use the ability to help us do some extra damage, and we'd be able to kill some of these guys faster. But with multiplayer, and if we had another guy in here, maybe a couple more baddies in this room, we'd be able to actually have more of an actual interaction with, thinking about strategy and stuff, because they hit you pretty hard, and I mean that can be adjusted, but I want it to feel like it's difficult. We want it to be like I said, like Dark Souls. We want it to be, you have to think about what you're going to do for your next move. It's not going to just be hack and slash your way through and just blow everything up. So that's not the objective of the game. And so the idea is to travel through these dungeons, find the gear, and really power yourself up as you go, because that's what's going to help you get through it. We have this crappy helmet. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of our starter sword. And I don't really need these gems because they don't do anything yet. And this is a locked door. It doesn't interact yet, so don't worry about that. Alright, and we're going to use our dash to get closer to him. And then we're going to grab some gold. And the gold goes in. It doesn't have a use yet. We don't have any NPCs at this point, but that was our... I think we're going to have some NPCs you can use gold to possibly buy materials. Gems are also going to break down for materials. We got a vigorous belt. I like this vigorous belt because it's a blue item, so it's obviously going to be better. And so we're going to keep that one on, and we're going to put these gauntlets on because we need those. And we're going to put the shield on too. So now we're kind of stacking ourselves up. We're at 137 power. let's see, we have 4 swiftness. Swiftness is the only stat that I currently have other than the main 2 primary stats, health and power, or stamina and power. And I plan on putting all the extra stats in here. They're just not there yet. I haven't had time. And so we'll continue down. Let's see here. We got this nice little open zone. Oh, and this guy right here. And I need to implement some movement when you hit them, so they actually kind of interact with it. I'm gonna go in this loot room right here and grab everything, and we're gonna get this gold. And gems are gonna also be picked up. If you grab one, it's gonna grab. I think it's gonna grab any of the same kind. So if this is a, let's just grab this. This is a pent cut ruby. If there's another pent cut ruby, it's gonna grab it, like this one over here. So items do stack. You can stack items, but you can't stack gear. You can only stack the same type of item, obviously. And I don't really need the potions, but let's pick them up anyways, just so you can see that. And then, yeah, see, I can grab this item. Let's see what this is. Ooh, these are pauldrons. Oh, these are good right here. Look at that, 19 power, level 2. Nice. And a level 2 helmet. We're gonna swap that out because we want that. And that's a level 2 relic, and it has almost the same stats, but it's got 8 stamina, so I'm gonna push that out. We want that. 172 stamina. So, alright, let's move these out of the way so we know that we're not going to use those anymore. And this is the final room down here. It's going to have 2 big guys in it. And I am going to just, they start with low health because I haven't set it up perfectly so they don't take damage when they start. But now it's like, those guys weren't even hard because I've got some actual gear on and I'm not running completely naked. But that's the idea, is that once you do have gear, the enemies are going to be harder anyways. So let's grab all these legendary items and let's check them out. We have fortified dagger. Of course, none of these have any static meshes attached to them, or skeletal meshes either. I haven't had time to put them on everything, but the difference in power is pretty huge. And so there's, I don't think we're actually going to have an affix as it says there. The lore will be there. The affix will probably not be there. What's going to happen is the affix is going to be replaced with the sockets that you can apply your abilities on. And so that's kind of how that's going to go. And so let's see, what do we have here? These are leg guards. You can put those on. They don't actually do anything on the skeleton because the skeleton doesn't have legs, but they can still grant you power. So that's the demo of the dungeon so far. And the dungeon is going to be a little bigger than this in our official demo, like when we finally get to a real demo. But this is how much we have at the moment. And you can dash. Usually you can dash upstairs, but I have to make sure that some of the stairs aren't trying to block my block any of my traces improperly. So we can go back outside. And, of course, we got a little weirdness going on there. So yeah. Anyway, so that's that, and I know that this video is already starting to get a little long, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out. We can type in here and say, hey, and it'll bring up a timestamp, the name of your character, and this is replicated so the other, the clients or the other players would see that. They also see all the changes of the gear on your character. So that's what I'm going to show you right now. So we're going to quit this. And I'm gonna do a multiplayer, but I'm gonna set this so that play doesn't do full size. We're gonna do monitors 19, I think, probably even less than that, but we'll see what I can do here. So let's do play in editor mode. Oops, play in editor with 2 people. We want 2 people. So let's go here. Let's get both of them going here, and then we're gonna go host. We'll say whatever and whatever, and accept. So we have player 1 over here. It's a server. Let's find the game. Put in our name and accept. And this is the multiplayer lobby Oh. Oh, I know. Oh, of course it's gonna break on me. Let's see, this is. I don't think it's. Maybe it's because it might not work right this minute. But it was working. So, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Unless if I can try that. I don't think it'll do standalone with 2. Never works for me. Yeah, it doesn't work for me. Okay. I'll have to take a look at that. But I do have replication. I can show you the code. So anyway, that is the project, the game project so far. And right now, like I said, a lot of these assets are just a lot of, I'm sorry, a lot of this, everything you see is just a work in progress. It is me, and I started this about a month ago. So I've been working on it for about a month, and it's in the state that it is right now. So anyway, I'm gonna upload the actual game build project to to a directory, and I'm gonna send that with this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and maybe I'll hope to hear from you soon.